Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of my behind the scenes series. In this series I'm going to take you through the process of putting the actual audio together and making the track sound like it sounds. So we're going to have a Tuesday video, which is usually going to be a music video, whether it's a live recording or cover video or a new song or something like that. Thursday's video is going to be how did we make it sound the way that it sounded. Mostly this is going to be in audio production, just doing what I do. Leave any questions that you might have that I don't answer down below, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive right in. So if you haven't seen the video from Tuesday, it was a song from my friend Tiffany Wilson. Please go check out her music. The song is called Heartstrings. I just wanted to do a nice simple cover to get things started. Here is a look at how I recorded it. Alright, let me turn this around here and show you what I've got. So right in front of me we have the mic. It's an SM7. A nice dynamic microphone. I have my iPad, which is controlling my little digital mixing console down there. It's an X32. And that is plugged in to my laptop running Pro Tools. There's my camera. It's a Canon 5D Mark III with a Sigma 50mm 1.4 prime lens on it. And got the guitar going DI and running that through a DI and then going into the mixing console. Yeah, and this is this little corner of my bedroom. Lots of light. Alright, so now let's open up that session in Pro Tools. Alright, so this is how Pro Tools looks like when you first open it up. I'm going to go find the file. It's in my external hard drive, in my YouTube, having friends. Here we go. And it says some inputs are missing. A lot of times this happens when you open up Pro Tools or any other digital audio workstation. And this just means I recorded it using one set of gear, and now we're opening it up on another slightly different set of gear. Same laptop, but I'm not running Pro Tools through my digital mixer, so it's asking me what I want to use. So here's what I have. First thing I do when I open up Pro Tools is I always check my setup. Just up here in the file menu, setup, and I want to check my playback engine. Because I know every time I come and sit down and I just use the laptop instead of another digital mixing console or another interface or anything like that, it's always going to want to try and play it out of my secondary monitored HDMI speakers for some reason. I do not know why that's default, but it is. And I'm kind of glad that it is, because it's forced me to do this everywhere. Every time I go to another studio or if I'm recording a live show, I always check what my output is, or what my playback engine is, rather. And it's going to ask me if I'm sure, if I want to save. And I'm going to hit OK on this. It's going to save and reopen the file, and now it's using the laptop's built-in audio. What I have here so far is my two audio tracks. I kept it very simple, like I said. I just have the acoustic guitar going through a DI, and I had just an SM7 microphone sitting right in front of me, and it pretty much picks up the guitar and the voice. Hopefully more voice than the guitar, so that we can make a balance out of what we had here. But that's essentially what we got. This is the take I ended up liking. I did a few takes of the song, and I can see what those are by using this little drop-down menu here, and it'll show me my previous takes that I recorded of the song. I'm going to try and find where I actually started. It's right here. And I'm going to trim this one also to where I actually ended. Cool. Just move that to the front. So in order to zoom in there's a lot of ways you can zoom in. And I know I said this isn't a beginner's tutorial, but let's just go through a couple easy things. You got these little icons down here, which are pretty, it's pretty easy to figure out what they mean. Minus, you zoom out. Plus, you zoom in. Same thing with this way. You can do it like that either way. If I want to see the whole track, I can select the whole region, and I can do Option F, and it will bring that track into into view here. I use the multi-tool pretty much 99% of the time, and in Pro Tools you have these different tools. I'm not going to describe what they all mean at the moment, but I use the multi-tool, which is all of those in one depending on where the cursor is in your edit window. So like right in the middle, it becomes this tool. Towards the top, or towards the sides, it becomes this tool. And then, as you see, when you move the cursor down to the bottom half of the region, it becomes the grabber tool. And so I'm used to using Pro Tools in this way. What I usually do in any mix is I'll start by building a master fader, which basically allows me to see what the final output is going to be in simple terms. That's what I want from it. So I'm going to come in here, new track. Let me back up. By new track, I do Shift Command N, as in Nancy. Shift Command N, and it brings up a new track. So I'm going to make a stereo master fader, and then I'm going to hit create. Likewise, you can also come up to the track menu and just do new. So it says Shift Command N right there. Alright. I'm going to take my groups off, which was making those move all as one. Okay. So now I've got my master fader on here. I am going to put a mastering limiter on it, just so I can get the ball rolling. Alright, well this is probably graphically intensive, and it's giving my computer a workout since I'm also recording the screen. So let's see if we can minimize it here. It's going to start with -8. Just give us a little bit of volume, and I always want to mix with my limiter on, because I'm probably going to put a limiter on when I master it. And so you want to mix in that environment, because if you're not mixing in the final environment, you might not hear it the same way that you'll hear at the end, and then you might have to compensate for something that you did or something that you missed. So I just changed a couple settings on the video recorder. I'm going to start that recording again. Alright, so hopefully that won't overload the situation anymore. So I also, for now, since we don't really need ozone just for this, I went and changed the limiter, since ozone is much more processor intensive. This is a limiter that you can actually get for free, so you can get this plugin for free. Just Google Massey, M-A-S-S-E-Y, and this is the L2007 mastering limiter. And it's free. It works. It sounds great. I use it a lot. I really couldn't be more pleased. It's highly recommended limiter. The only thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't save your settings. So if I was to save my session, close Pro Tools, and come back, it would just be default with no settings. So you just kind of have to remember what your settings are if you want to use it, which isn't too hard because it's a limiter. You pretty much can use it the same way every time you use it. Cool. So I'm going to mute the acoustic guitar sound for right now, since that's that one's going to be pretty easy to do. Let me listen to just the microphone. Now a lot of times I have a what is this, a magic mouse, and so to move I will drag my finger across it, and also to zoom in and out, my shortcut is holding Option, and I can go up and down on it, and it's really easy to navigate around that way. So by holding Option and moving my finger, I get to zoom in and check it out. I like to walk into the meadow alone with my wine. I like to sit beneath the starlight and think about why you walked yourself, your perfect body, into my life. Alright. Let's see how the loud parts sound. Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Alright. Cool. I am going to see what kind of noise I might have on the track, because I remember from recording it that I wasn't getting that much of a level. If you can see here, here's where the guitar levels are at, which right now they seem like they're about the same, but I've already boosted this 14 dB. And so this is the level I was recording. I'm going to go ahead and boost it all the way up, and it doesn't really look like the noise is all that bad. Actually, yeah, it's not that bad. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back down. That's pretty good. So, yeah, all I really need to do, since this is a very simple thing, might be a little bit of EQ, definitely some leveling, some compression, and we'll be pretty good with it for that. Very simple video here. So first I'm going to go to my favorite EQ. By the way, this is how I'm adding things. Over here I have an inserts column, and that's how I'm able to insert effects. And so I'm going to insert my favorite EQ, which is the Q10. Gonna pull that up. Alright. So first I'm going to try to give a broad balance fix to it. And to do that, actually I'm going to go to one of the louder sections here. Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? So what I was doing there is I was picking up, it's called a node, and I was sweeping it around to find zones of more intense frequency buildup that are not pleasing. So I was just listening for basically for frequencies that I didn't like as much, or that need to be balanced. And then now that I found an area that I don't particularly care for, I'm going to pull it back down And this is a paragraphic equalizer, which means it's very it's a parametric equalizer, but it's fully customizable. You can take anything and do anything with it, and I like it a lot.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
Now, anytime you make an EQ move, you should, if you find something you like, or maybe a couple steps later, you should bypass it and listen to it. Make sure you actually do like what you did. So that's what we'll do now.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be?
So I do like that. Now I've noticed that there's a another area, a frequency I want to clean up, so I'm going to do that.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good? You're no good for me. Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason?
Alright, so now the next thing I want to do to this is I want to brighten it up a little bit, but I don't want to do that with an EQ. I want to use a multiband compressor, which in many ways is like an EQ. However, it doesn't just change the equalization of the thing as of the audio as a whole. It will attenuate, which means to change the volume. It'll attenuate the certain frequencies that you tell it to once they reach a certain area. So it's a very powerful tool, and I know that description probably didn't do it justice, but I'll show you how I'm going to use it here now. Alright, we're gonna reset this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and loop this area by selecting it, and I've got up here, you can go to the play, these are the transport controls, and you can go up here, you right click on that, and you got these options, and I have loop enabled, so when I hit play, it's just going to keep looping that section that's highlighted.
There be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for? There be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for? There be reason
Alright, so what I've done is I just boosted the low end here a little bit. So that's kind of like using the EQ. And then I took this low mid section, and so I brought the threshold here so that when, as you can see, when it's hitting that threshold, the audio goes above it, it's bringing it down. It shows you that in this sort of graphical way. And I did the same thing with the middle frequencies. And I'm actually going to bring this over so it's a little more.
You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no.
Alright. So this is to help balance out the frequencies and to keep a consistent color. A lot of times the way microphones pick up is when something is louder, you'll get more low end. Or alternately, if you're really close to the microphone, you could get a lot of sibilance, the tss sound. And so you could use that over here in the higher frequencies for that. We don't have that problem this time. So that's what I use that for. Now I'm also going to throw on top of this another compressor to give it some more consistent volume. This is where the actual compressing is happening. Not this one, there we go. This is the one I want. Alright. It doesn't have any of my settings here, that's okay. So this is a compressor by Waves, just like the last two were by Waves. Not all my plugins are Waves, but a lot of them are. I like them. I found the ones that I really like, and I use them a lot. One thing I don't like about Waves plugins is that a lot of them have this analog feature, they call it. And basically what it does is it adds noise to your signal. And I can see why that would be useful as an effect for something, I'm not sure what, but I always turn it off. I do not like the noise. I'm pretty sure these two plugins don't use noise. Yeah, no, these ones don't. Okay, yeah, but for some reason, a lot of these classic vintage modeling compressor plugins use noise, and I could see how it could be a feature, but I don't know why it's ever on by default. That seems silly to me. So. Alright, so we're going to use this, and we just want to use this to grab the peaks and bring the whole volume up to a level where we can hear it nice and consistent, and it'll be up nice and loud.
You're no good for me. Should there be reason?
I'm going to go to the loudest part and see how.
Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Yeah.
Now you might hear those little pops that are happening. That is my computer trying to handle recording the screen at the same time as doing all this fancy stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it really quick, give it a little break.
Should there be reason? You're no.
Let me see if I can increase the buffer size. and fix it.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason?
Alright, so actually in this recording the guitar audio is still the thing that's peaking in the microphone, just like it is in its own track. And so the vocal isn't the thing that's the loudest, but it still sounds okay. The vocal still sounds at a decent volume compared to the guitar, which I am happy with. So we're going to leave that alone for right now.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason?
Alright. Now I'm going to listen to my acoustic DI signal, pretty much just to see if it's something I want to use. So pretty much I might just want to use the low end from here to help beef up my other microphone signal a bit, which is what I was planning on doing. The acoustic guitar going through a DI never really going to sound as good as a microphone anyway. But I knew that I might want to get some more of the low end out of it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. And to do that, I'm going to first put on my favorite EQ. Loop this here. Alright, now I'm gonna put on another compressor just to get those peaks, because I think that even though we took out most of it, we EQ'd most of the instrument really low, and we're just leaving in that low end information in there. I still want to take care of some of those peaks. I don't want them to be popping out too much. So I loaded another Waves compressor. This is a model of the classic 1176. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that analog noise, and going to switch over to the Bluey version, and let's see what we get. So what I like to hear in my compression is nothing. And what I mean by that is you're using the compressor to either control peaks or to level off audio so you can make it all louder and more smooth. But you don't ever. I never find it pleasing when you can hear the compressor, we call it grabbing on to the signal, or pumping. You can hear sort of this like pumping effect. So pretty much when those peaks happen and the compressor clamps down or it grabs those peaks, you want it to sound really natural. You don't want to hear the plugin working at all and affecting the sound. You just want it to be sort of transparent. I would call it. And so I think we have that. Pretty simple. Now I might now I'll bring these both in, and I'm going to bring the acoustic DI, the low end, up until I like it.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
Alright, so I need to bring this back up a little bit. I am actually going to go ahead and put no. Yeah, maybe I will. So I'm going to go ahead and do some multiband, because I like the low end I'm getting from DI, but I don't like the low mids. But I know that if I EQ them out, then I'll lose it. So I want to EQ them. I want it to EQ them only when they get too loud. So I'm going to use the multiband compressor for that, and I'm going to start with the same thing that we have on the other track as a starting place. Since it's basically the same kind of frequency place we're gonna look at here. So let's see what that looks like. Alright, so now that I've changed a little more, I want to go back to my other compressor, make sure that I haven't changed it too much. Alright. Alright, so let's try mixing that back in and seeing what we got.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
Alright, there's still too much of that, so I'm going to go ahead and go to this. Alright, so I put what's called a low pass filter on it, and pretty much just taking off everything except for the very lows, because there was still too much low mid things happening.
There be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason?
Alright, so I think I'm happy with that. I mean, the next step, if I didn't like that, would have just been to turn off the acoustic DI. If something's not sounding good, don't use it. Especially in our case, the vocal and the guitar both sound pretty good coming through the microphone, so we didn't need the DI. Just thought it would be a little extra bass boost, which could be a good thing, but we don't want to force it, so that's good. So now I want to bring some reverb in, so I'm going to create some new tracks for that. Now what I like to do is usually two things to make my reverb happening. I like to bring in a reverb and a delay. To rename tracks, just double click on the title and it'll bring up that. Cool. Bring this thing back into view a little bit here. Alright. So I am going to, before every time before before almost any effects plugin, usually I start with putting a high pass, which sounds funny. It's a weird thing to say. It's kind of counterintuitive. A high pass allows the high frequencies to pass through, and a low pass allows the low frequencies to pass through. So by putting a high pass on it, I'm cutting out low frequencies. And so effects, I typically don't like having low frequencies on effects too much. Sometimes there's a reason for it, but not at least starting out, unless I think I'm going to use them for some reason, for some special effect, for reverbs and delay sends and things like that. I usually just go ahead and take low end information out. So I put that on both of those. For my reverb, I'm going to go in to my reverbs, going to get my IR1. Alright, so this is a Waves reverb plugin. It's convolution reverb, which means it takes the signal and it has an impulse response. Basically somebody went out and took a recording of the way that the reverb sounds in spaces, in different spaces all over the world, and they process it, and you get these impulse responses, and so you can, using this kind of a reverb plugin, you can make it sound like you're in Symphony Hall, or in Grand Central Station, or in your bathroom. So they're very useful, very powerful tools, and we're going to try using one here. I'm going to go ahead and load an impulse response from the file. Alright, I have a folder here of IRs, impulse responses. I'm going to go and get quad files. Alright. I'm going to go and I'm going to go get my, there it is, gold plate. Let's try this one out. Alright. So now that I have a reverb in there, I need to send stuff to it to get some reverb. So I'm going to change the input and change it to bus 1. And then on my other tracks, I've got these sends that I can assign. So my first send, I'm going to go down to bus 1, and that's going to bring up a little send window, little thing here, that I can dial in the send. So let's see how that looks here.
I like to feel the pain of failure, even though I cry. I like to make a dirty mess, though I'm scared to try. Well, here comes poison like a pale moon into the night.
So, there's a couple things. If I was just doing a recording, making a studio recording, which kind of didn't really depend on the space that I was in, I would just put on some nice reverb and make it sound nice the way that I wanted it to. But since I am in a space, I'm in a room, has its own sort of sound you can hear in the track already, I don't want to get too far from it. So I'm going to change this reverb so it sort of blends a little better with the natural room sound. Or at least I'm going to try to.
I like to feel the pain of failure, even though I cry. I like to make a dirty mess, though I'm scared to try. Well, here.
Let's do this. So right here, right now, I'm affecting the dampening, which affects the decay of I'm changing the lower end of the frequency spectrum here. It just means the lower frequencies will decay faster when I change that. We're not going to go in depth on reverb, but just know that I want to have the low end decay faster. I want it to go away faster.
I like to feel the pain of failure, even though I cry. I like to make a dirty mess, though I'm scared to try. Well, here comes poison like a pale moon into the night.
Okay, so I'm liking that right now. As you can tell, you can probably barely hear it, which is kind of the way what I'm going for this track. I just want it to give a little more dimension to it, not make it sound like there's a big reverb effect on it. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to jump to some of the louder parts and see how that sounds as well.
Should there be reason you're no good for me?
Okay, cool. So I like that. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and bring this down because I'm going to use it as part of my delay chain. Nice little plate sound here. I'm going to dial in my delay now. For this, I use another Waves plugin, surprise, surprise, the H delay. This is one of my very favorites. Yeah, one of my very favorite plugins. I use it so much. It also has weird, crazy analog noise. I have no idea why. It's got 4 different kinds of noise you can put on it. Why? This is actually the plugin that I used that caused me to find out that this analog feature adds all kinds of noise, because I was working on a track, and by the end of it was tons of tracks, lots of effects, lots of plugins, lots of H delay plugins, and by the end of it there was so much noise on the track that I went through and soloed and muted different things to find out where the noise is coming from, and finally I figured out that all these H delays were making noise. And so it took me a while, but I figured out that it was the analog noise, and since then I've been doing better, not going crazy. Alright, so let's put this in. We're just going to dial in some stuff and see what we like, and I'm just going to kind of massage it. I'm not going to go in depth about the plugin right now, other than to say the delay is the time that you hear the delay. So it's like time of the first thing. So it's like, should this? That's the delay time. The feedback is how many repeats it does. For us, we don't want a lot of repeats. Going to 20 on this, I know, will give me like 1.5. And which is pretty much kind of what I'm going for. Alright, and usually you can also tap, so you can like tap a tempo, and that's probably how I'll figure it out, what I like. So let me assign it to ascend. We're going to do bus 3. Assign the input here on the delay track to bus 3. Alright, so let me start dialing some of this in, and we'll see how it goes.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
So that's a good division of time. I'm going to go to about half that.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
So now like that, I'm gonna turn on the filters a little more to what I normally like them at. So we can get a little bit more isolation and just a nice clean delay.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Yeah. You say you're taken by my heartstrings, you're taken by my...
Alright, so I like where that is. The delay we only want to use really when we really only want to use it when we're doing the loud parts in the chorus, because you don't want it. It's kind of distracting if you have it the rest of the time. Like when you hear me, you don't want to hear that. Well, I can just show you. You don't want to hear sort of the bang delay. See, you can hear that little. Yeah, that's distracting. Not that it sounds bad. It's a delay. It's it's an effect. But I tend to try to avoid things that are just overtly distracting. Distracting from the story, from the performance, from just the main elements. So now we have that. I think we're pretty much about done here. Yeah.
To walk into the middle.
All right. So now I'm going to automate my delay send. I'm going to put the automation mode into and then put it into touch so that it'll record the moves that I make with it. Yeah, okay. So for here, this is fine.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? You're like the energy of people with whiskey on ice. You like to play until you're paid, girl. Well, so do I. You said you're taken by my heart.
So I didn't bring it down quite enough. It needs to come down to 41. So I'm going to go ahead and take this little dot here and bring it down to 41, and then I'm going to select all these dots and get rid of them using the delete key. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead Yeah, I'm going to, you can, now that I'm in this view where I'm adjusting the level of something, I've got this line here that tells, you know, how much level is being sent to the delay. I can interact with it, so I can add dots and I can take dots away. So if I want to add a dot, I hold Command and I can put a dot anywhere I please, anywhere I click on. And if I want to take a dot away, I hold Option and go over that dot, and you see the little icon changes to a minus symbol, and it goes like that.
You like the energy of people with whiskey on ice. You like to play until you're paid, girl. Well, so do I. You said you're taken by my heartstrings. You're taken by my. You said you're taken by my heartstrings. You're taken by my heart. Should there be reason?
Alright, so I'm just going to kind of quickly find where the chorus begins. And you can probably just tell from the size of the waveform, but I'm going to go ahead and listen to some parts just to make sure. And you can use these to, and you can watch in this little corner here, the corner of the region, it shows you the number you're at, so that you don't have to just rely on eyeballing it, which doesn't always work too well. So in these other sections, what I'm going to do is make a dot in front of the chorus, and after this loud section, I'm going to use the mouse to bring it down, bring the delay setting down more naturally than just drawing a flat line.
Should there be reason? You're no good for me. You like to curse, you like to scream until you lose me. Then you like to win, you like to fight until you lose your mind. Well, here comes poison like a pale moon into the night. You say you're taken by my heartstrings. You're taken by my heart. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Should there be reason? You're no good for me. Yeah. You say you're taken by my heartstrings. You're taken by my.
All right. Cool. So I think I like that. And I don't feel like the need to to mess with it anymore. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go back to waveform view. What I'm doing here is switching between the different views on the region. We're gonna go back to waveform view so I can adjust the waveforms. I don't need my send anymore. I'm going to turn my groups back on so that I can edit these things together. If I have this off and I want to edit a track, it'll just edit the one track here. But with the groups on, I can edit both of them at the same time. So I want to do just a little fade. So I'm going to select this region and I'm going to do Command F to bring up the fades. I'm going to hit OK. And then what you need to do after you write a fade is you need to listen to it. Sounds good to me. Alright, now we're going to make a fade on the end. Alright, so I have some nice natural like room sound. You can hear the street out by my window, which I'm surprised you can't hear more of the street because we live on a pretty noisy street. I'm just going to make a nice little fade here at the end.
You're taken by my
Alright, I think that is a little too dramatic, so I'm going to go ahead and double click on the fade. I'm going to adjust it by dragging right on here just to make it a little bit of a gentler fade. Or more linear fade, I guess I should say. Cool. I like that. Awesome. Use my Option F to get the whole thing in view, and then we want to listen to it. Make sure that we like it.
I like to walk into the meadow alone with my wine. I like to sit beneath the starlight and think about why you walked yourself, your perfect body, into my life. I like to feel the pain of failure, even though I cry. I like to make a dirty mess, though I'm scared to try. Well, here comes poison like a pale moon into the night. You say you're taken by my heartstrings, you're taken by my heart. Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? You're like the energy of people with whiskey on ice. You like to play until you're paid, girl. Well, so do I. You said you're taken by my heartstrings, you're taken by mine. You said you're taken by my heartstrings, you're taken by my heart. Should there be reason you're no good for me? like to curse, you like to
So at this point I found one little thing. The level is good. We don't need to use ozone for a master. We can just, I think it's fine the way it is. It's just a simple acoustic vocal, and that's fine. I think that the vocal can be a little intense at the loud parts. Go ahead and save real quick. And I want to see if I can tone that down a little bit just so it's a little smoother, so that when you're listening to it and you get those loud parts, it's not so intense.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me?
Alright, I think I leveled that off enough. I think this guy's probably grabbing too hard.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there
See if I can find that.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there
There you are, that's the intensity I was talking about. So I'm going to move this up to where I found that.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no
if I can gentle this up a little bit. I want to take that, make it nice and wide, and then I want to bring it there.
Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason you're no good for me? Should there be reason?
Alright. I think I played with it enough. Probably at this stage too, I would go take a break and then come back and listen to it, make sure that I like it. I think that with the vocal and the guitar coming through the same microphone, I think that's about as good as we can hope to get it.
To walk into the meadow alone with my wine. I like to sit beneath the starlight and think about.
So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to bounce it, and we're just going to use this, and this is going to be our first behind the scenes video. Something very simple, and I hope you like it. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, leave them down in the comments. If you like the video, subscribe. We're going to have new videos every Tuesday and behind the scenes videos every Thursday. And if you like the video, hit the like button and share with your friends. And we'll be doing some more interesting things in the future. So until next time.